A Desperate Cry for Help is a short foster care memoir from Maggie Hartley. This was released originally in 2019. I first read it in 2019. I'm currently rereading all of Maggie Hartley's books. And what's really interesting for me with this one is that, unlike the others I'm rereading, I remembered pretty much everything in this one. And there's a very specific reason for that. And that's because I'm paraphobic. And this is all about fire. And there's a fire at this children's home, and because it's near one of the bedrooms, the girls in that home, in that bedroom, have to go to different foster carers while the room is restored. And one of the girls, Meg, goes to stay with Maggie. Meg's not a very likable character from the beginning, to be perfectly honest, and I wasn't really a fan of her personality straight away. And as the narrative progressed, that just became more and more the case. And things get really serious. And Maggie's life is in danger, and the rest of the people in the house as well. And I won't say any more than that because it is a short read. It's what, 40 minutes at the most, I'd say. And I remembered it so vividly, partly because it's very well written, but partly because it also plays on one of my biggest fears of fire. I'm absolutely terrified. So for me, it really stuck in my mind. I'd say certain things are quite obvious, but it doesn't bother me too much. It certainly, as it progresses and things get really serious, it actually gets really fascinating with certain procedures. I can't say too much more than that, but what happens after the big shocking thing happens, it becomes really fascinating, and I think at that point it became unpredictable. And the final third of the book is really compelling and really interesting, and something I enjoyed reading, but also it did, because of my fears and phobias, it made me feel a bit sick a lot of the time and angry, very angry at certain characters. But I can't say any more than that. If you're a fan of Maggie Hartley and you haven't read this, I definitely recommend it. Because it's quite a short read, I'd say it's something that can be read in one sitting, or two if you prefer to have shorter reading sessions. I'm glad it wasn't any longer. I genuinely don't think I would have been able to cope because of my own personal fears. But as a one off read that I read twice, it's not too bad. It's generally well written, some grammatical errors, but other than that, I'd say it's worth checking out. If you've never read any foster care memoirs, it's not a bad place to start, but it wouldn't be my top recommendation. It's not typical of the average foster care memoir, but if it sounds like it would appeal to you a lot, then absolutely give it a go. Even with a second read and knowing pretty much everything that was happening, I found it to be still quite a fascinating read and definitely something I'm happy to recommend.